Hello friends, welcome back to part 2 of Weblogic session replication. In the first session, what we have saw is that how we can enable the session replication for the web applications with the help of in-memory method, where the sessions are stored in the in-memory. Okay, and this part 2, we will see how we can enable the session replication for web applications with the help of Coherence Web. So what is the difference between in-memory and Coherence Web is that when we use the in-memory session replication, then all the session data is stored in the memory. Okay, and sometimes when we have a large amount of session data, it is not recommended to use the in-memory session replication. So we go for the Coherence Web session replication, where it is your session data is stored outside your memory. Okay, so we will see how we can enable the Coherence Web for the session replication in Weblogic Server. Okay, and about the session data and failure work concept, I have discussed it in detail in part 1. Okay, but you haven't gone through that one. If you have missed that one, first I would recommend to go through that one to understand the session replication basics. Okay, along with the in-memory replication. Okay, that will help you to understand the Coherence Web as well. Okay, but if I missed that one, okay, let me explain you about what exactly is the session replication or failure work. Okay, in production environment, we always configure our Weblogic server in high availability mode. That means we have a multiple servers are running in parallel, so that in case one get crashed, your session or the application should be accessible from the other managed server. Okay, and a lot of time we have a lot of kind of different web applications where we have a session data of user in a particular session who is connected with a particular backend managed server. So at that time, when if suppose that a user accessing the application and it is connected with the Weblogic server at WLS1, okay, and at that time when the user is connected, he or she may have certain session data in their in session, right? For example, in e-commerce website, we log in, we go to e-commerce website and then we do a lot of shopping, where before that we add a lot of items in our cart, right? So if suppose that a user is on the e-commerce website and he or she had added many items in the shopping cart, and at that time maybe she or he was connected with the backend Weblogic server WLS1, and if that server get crashed and if session replication is not enabled, then whenever user will click on some options on the website, okay, he may be redirect to the front page of your e-commerce website, okay, and your shopping cart where you had added the items will also get blank because your session was connected to a server in the backend which was get crashed. Okay, to avoid such kind of situations where you want to replicate the session of user to different managed server along with the session data, we use a session replication technology. So in that case, suppose a user is connected with the backend WLS1 and that server get crashed. Okay, so what we need is that session should be replicated to another managed server along with all the session data, and that is called a session failure work. And we have 3 methods for enabling that in Weblogic server. The first one I had discussed in the lecture 1, part 1, which was in using in-memory, and in second part I am going to show you how to enable with the help of Coherence Web, and in third part I will show you how we can enable it with the help of JDBC, that means using the database. Okay, so now what is Coherence Web? Okay, so in this example, what I am going to show you, so in this example I will show you that how this Coherence container, or you can say Coherence Web, how it caches the sessions information, okay, when we deploy it on Weblogic server, what kind of configurations are required for that one, okay, and then we will create a small web application that is with me. If you want that for testing purpose as well, you can write to me on my email ID that I will provide in the last screen. I will share it with you over the email. Okay, so I will create a small web application to check the session replication whether it is working or not. Okay, and then this application would be a simple counter application. That means whenever this application hit by on the browser, the counter increased by the 1. Okay, and after that a browser will be used to access each application instance to demonstrate that the session replication attribute is used among the instances. That means after that I am going to use the web browser, where I will show you how this counter is getting increased whenever we are accessing the application with the help of direct URLs of the managed servers. So what is the action plan? That we need a domain where we have 2 managed server at least in the cluster, okay, to check the session replication. Okay, and after that we will create a Coherence cluster. Okay, and once the Coherence cluster is created, after that we have to enable a server for Coherence Web local storage. So that means if we have a 2 managed servers in a cluster, so at least in one server of the cluster, either managed server 1 or managed server 2, we have to enable a local storage for the Coherence Web. So you can go either for managed server 1 or either you can go for managed server 2, but it should be enabled for at least one managed server. Then we will create a counter web application. Okay, then we will start the servers and then we will deploy the application, and then we will verify whether it's working or not. Okay, so I'm assuming that you are already ready with a domain. Okay, and your WebLogic is already installed and you have created a domain where you have 2 managed servers are running. But if you have not done that one, then you need any help on that one, you can go to my channel, and then there will see a lot of videos on then how you can install the WebLogic, and then how you can create the domain, how you can create the managed servers, or how you can create the cluster. Okay. So in my case, I have a domain where I have admin servers up and running, and along with that I have 2 managed servers, MS1 and MS2 are running on port number 7003 and 7004. Okay, so make sure to note the listen port for your managed server, because when we'll access the application with the direct URL of managed server, in that case we would need the port number of your managed server for each managed server. Okay, now the next part is that you have to create a Coherence cluster. Okay, so for that you have to go to admin console. Inside environment you have to click on Coherence clusters. Okay, and then click on new. After that you have to give a name for your Coherence cluster. I have given the demo Coherence i5 cluster. This is the name that I have given for my demo cluster. Click on next. In the next screen you have to provide the clustering mode and the listen port. Okay, how this the servers in the cluster are going to be communicate with each other. Okay, and for that always set the unicast. Okay, and then provide a cluster listen port. Multicast listen port by default would be there. Okay, and if you want to change this configurations, you are okay to change that one if this particular port number is used in your network. Okay, so once this is done, you have to select your managed server instances, those you want to be part of the Coherence cluster. So in my case, I have 2 managed servers are running, MS1 and MS2, so I have selected both to be part of this Coherence cluster. Right, so now your Coherence cluster is ready, or it is created. Okay, and with 2 members, MS1 and MS2. That means I have a Coherence cluster with 2 managed servers, right? So after creating the Coherence cluster, as I said in the previous slide, is that you have to enable the local storage for at least one managed server, either with managed server 1 or either with managed server 2. Okay, so in my case, I have enabled it for managed server 2. For that one, you have to go to your admin console, click on servers, select your managed server, or click on your managed server. In my case, it is MS2. Then click on configuration tab. After that, click on the Coherence tab. So once you will click on the Coherence tab, then there you will see an option Coherence Web Local Storage enabled. Okay, so you have to select this one and save the configurations. Okay, that means after that you have to restart your managed server 2, because I have enabled this local storage for only managed server 2, so I have to restart this particular managed server. Then I will create a web application. Okay, and this is the content of my web application, and this is the default structure of a web application as well, where I would have a JSP file. Okay, inside my root folder, and then I have a certain web INF, and then there are certain web.xml, weblogic.xml files are there. Those are the configuration files for the web application. So this is the default structure of a WAR application. Okay, and then to create this particular WAR file with the help of our content, the command is the jar command. That with the help of jar, then CVF and the name of the WAR file, and then all the content I have specified with star. This is the command to create a WAR file. Okay, so if you need this WAR file for testing purpose, okay, so I have ready with me. You can email to me. I will send it back to you. Okay, for testing purpose. Now what it does, so this application, every time you access the application, it increases the count by 1. So that means every time you are going to access the application, you are going to hit the application on the browser, it will increase the count by 1. Okay, so we have 2 managed servers. So when I will hit the application, okay, direct URL of my application from the managed server 1 port, okay, it will increase the count by 1. And again, if I will going to hit this application with the help of direct URL of managed server 2, the count should be increased by 2. Only in case when my session is get replicated in the both managed servers. Okay, so now you have to deploy the application. For that I have selected my managed server 1 and managed server 2, because I had created 2 managed servers, so I am deploying my application on both managed servers. So you can see that my application is ready, it is active and deployed on managed server 1 and managed server 2. Okay, so now how to test? It's simple. Go to the browser. First you have to hit the URL, direct URL of your managed server 1. So in my case, the port number of my managed server 1 MS1 is 7003. Okay, and then I have a default context of my application, which is counter and then slash counter.jsp. So once I will hit this URL, it will show me the counter 1. Okay, so now at this moment I have selected, or I have hit the URL using the direct URL of my managed server 1. Right, so that means the session data, which is the counter, which is increased by 1, it is stored in the session of my managed server 1. Right, so now what I will do is I will hit the URL with the help of my managed server 2, where the port is 7004, and you will see that counter is increased by 2. And why it is increased by 2? Because I have enabled the Coherence web, okay, and the counter, which was increased by 1 for managed server 1, it is get replicated in the second server as well, and the counter increased by 2. If you will not enable your session Coherence web session replication, and if you, in that case, you are going to hit your managed server 2 URL, it will show you the counter 1. Okay, so this is how we can configure the session replication with the help of Coherence web. Thanks for watching this video, and if you need the testing application, do write to me on the digitalk.fmw.gmail.com. I will send back to you. Thanks for watching.